and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. Today is 17th August 2021. My name is Harsh Singh and we will discuss the Gazette, our daily guide to UPSC current affairs. Now this is the issue number 158 and that is why we have come with a whole new look for the Gazette magazine for an enjoyable reader experience. Today we have for you on the Gazette 3 hot selling articles from the snapshot section. So 3 updates for UPSC aspirants. The first one is government having circulated a new draft electricity rules for green energy. Very important. The second one relates to Tribunal Reforms Bill introduced in the Parliament and passed quickly. So Supreme Court having some issues with it. And the third one is standardizing the bidding process by the government. So this relates to government e-marketplace. Important articles, all 3 of them. This day in history is dedicated to Radcliffe line created on this particular day, declared in fact. Featured news is on youth development. Why? Now, India has been ranked 122 in the Youth Development Index out of 181 countries. And therefore, it is important to understand what is the state of youth development in India. What is the meaning of youth? And what are the important steps government has taken for youth development? What are the impediments? So we will discuss a holistic article in a different video. So this is the first video. The second video will contain all the rest of the articles. Now, image of the day is a stark image from the crisis in Afghanistan. The 4 terms and concepts that we discussed today are the second phase of Samvad initiative by the government. The second one is Navroz, the Parsi New Year. Now, if you keep watching the Gazette daily, we will keep discussing all the festivals and that's how you will cover your culture within 1 year's time. So, Navroz today for you. And the third one is Greater Adjutant stock and why it is in news. This bird is endangered. And the fourth one is India fast-tracking request from Afghanistan through a new e-visa scheme. Right, the 6th e-visa from India. Editorials of the day, 3 good ones. The first one is on how India must act in the crisis, in the face of crisis, the Taliban crisis in Afghanistan. The second one is from the IPCC report and the third one is about central bank digital currency. The case study of the day is from Central Asian country regarding how it has achieved zero malaria. We have dedicated this day in history to the Radcliffe line because it was on this day, August 17th, 1947, that Radcliffe line was declared. It was created by the act of Sir Cyril Radcliffe, and Radcliffe line was on 2 fronts, one the eastern and one the western front. The western front with Pakistan, that was for the West Pakistan, and the one for east was with the East Pakistan, later converted to Bangladesh. Now, important to note is that we also have a Durand line that was between India, erstwhile India and Afghanistan. So, 1919, this line was created, Durand line, and later it formed the boundary between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Now, going a little beyond the mandate of this course, that is this day in history, we will go to why 15th August was also an important day. Why 15th August is in significance. Our magazine releases from Monday to Friday. And this time, 15th August came on a Sunday. And therefore, we could not explain to you what is the relevance of 15th August in our history, right? We all know it was the Independence Day for India. It was always the Independence Day since 1947. But what is the reason for 15th August being the Independence Day? Do you know that? Okay, now let's discuss that. Lord Mountbatten and the British Parliament, they had decided that India will be given independence by June 30th, 1948. The transfer of power will happen by 1948, June 30th. However, Indian side said that there'd be no power left to transfer because of so many atrocities, so much of violence, the religious violence happening around the country. And therefore, it was requested to transfer power earlier. And therefore, India Independence Bill was passed, which said the transfer of power will happen by 15th August 1947. So why 15th August? Now, this is where Lord Mountbatten, the erstwhile Governor General, chose this date. He chose this particular date because this was the date which was the 2nd anniversary of the surrender of the Japanese Empire to the Allied forces. So, 15th August 1945, they had surrendered after the 6th August and 9th August bombing, right? The nuclear bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that is why this, the way his mind worked, Lord Mountbatten, he chose 15th August because he felt it was auspicious. But is it auspicious? I don't know, right? So Emperor Hirohito, he surrendered through a radio address, recorded radio address. So this is the significance of 15th August 1947. snapshot 1 is on the draft electricity rules 2001 that the government has framed. Now this is to accelerate the movement to adopt green energy in India, right? So what has the government done? The government says that we will have more waste to energy plants. For example, the bagasse plants, the sugar cane extract, the waste will be utilized to create green energy. We will also have sunlight, wind, water, these kind of energy will be utilized so that we have cleaner energy, right, in the country. And how do we purchase them? So purchasal mechanisms have to be obligated. That means institutions, companies will have to mandatorily purchase the renewable energy also at a certain component. So for example, green hydrogen, this hydrogen has to be mandatorily purchased by certain companies. Right now we have 60% of contribution through coal for electricity generation, and we need the cleaner fuel, and that is why renewable purchase obligation has come into play. So important keyword, you write these keywords, you will gain marks. So this is one. The second one is the renewable energy credits, the certificates. So either you purchase them, or if you are consuming more of carbon, more of global warming gases, the greenhouse gases, suppose 100 was assigned to you, 100 units of pollution, and you have polluted 120 units. So these extra 20 units that you have polluted, you will have to purchase, you will have to offset them through purchasing renewable energy certificates from only the company which has extra of its consumption through green mechanisms. So that company has got extra consumption through green mechanisms, it can give you that certificate, right? This is how this system has been enabled. So first one was renewable purchase obligation, second one is renewable energy certificates through offset of carbon emission. So important keywords. The third one is green energy open access. So what does this mean? Now if I want to participate in this, if I want to consume green energy, I can do that, but a minimum amount of energy I will have to declare that I will use. So through this channel, green energy open access, this is for every user, right? And tariff also will be fixed by the government, right? Now we have studied about energy compacts earlier. What are they? Energy compacts are the voluntary declarations from the organizations. Now for example, Paris Climate had to have all the countries declared how much they will reduce their emission. But what about NTPC? What about Edukemy? What about these small organizations? They can declare their voluntary contributions, right? So these are the energy compacts, right? This is how India is also going to declare some energy compacts from its own end, right? So these are the various terms in this particular snapshots: green energy, open access, energy compacts, then we have renewable energy certificate, carbon offset emission, and renewable purchase obligation. We also have one more here, waste to energy plants. Also, please do remember what is green hydrogen. Green hydrogen, blue hydrogen, and brown hydrogen. We have studied all three of them in one of the snapshots. Green hydrogen is the hydrogen. See, hydrogen is the one which produces energy, right? But hydrogen is also required to be produced. So when hydrogen is produced through conventional fuel, it can either lead to the greenhouse gases, the global warming gases in the atmosphere, or they can be sequestered, they can be contained, right? So if they are contained, it is blue hydrogen production. If they are let in the atmosphere and it pollutes the atmosphere, it becomes brown hydrogen. And if they are produced, if this hydrogen for energy generation is produced from a cleaner fuel, for example electricity, right, not from the carbon, it is produced from cleaner fuel like electricity, it is the green hydrogen. So this is the prime difference between all these three. The second snapshot in that is on the Tribunal Reforms Bill. Now this is another debate between the Supreme Court now and the government or the Parliament on the other hand. Now earlier, Tribunal Reforms Ordinance was passed by the centre, and later Supreme Court had some objections to it. We will understand what these objections were. Now later Parliament has passed that same bill with hardly any amendments to it, and it has passed without any debate and discussion. Supreme Court has objected to it. So let us quickly discuss what is this Tribunal Reforms Bill about, what are the objections of the court. Okay, now this particular bill abolishes 9 appellate tribunals, like there are tribunals which are meant for specific purposes for attending to some appellate regarding cinematograph, for example trade, patent, etc. So 9 of these tribunals have been abolished, right? This is the first thing. And also certain rules have been introduced for the appointment and the whole coordination of tribunals. So Supreme Court has contended, the first contention it has said is that when the tribunals are understaffed, when the government is not at all appointing the judges and the staff in tribunals, what is the point of introducing this kind of reform? So this is the first question. Then going ahead, Supreme Court says that if you have declared minimum age criteria of 50 years for becoming a member, right? Of this tribunal, this age is too much, right? The government says that we want more experience, we want competent advocates. So this is where Supreme Court had earlier said that fix minimum 10 years of working experience as an advocate, right? So this could be a criteria, but the government fixed this criteria at 50 years. Noteworthy to mention is that Supreme Court had already objected to it when the ordinance was passed, and the government is passing the same bill through the parliament this time. Now this is the Supreme Court objection, right? The second one is the Supreme Court has questioned the search cum selection committee for the members of the tribunals, right? So now this committee will have members from the government, will have members from the justice fraternity also, but the act says that they shall recommend the panel of 2 names, and the government will select one person out of these two people, right, as the final member, right? So this is where the judiciary has questioned, where is the impartiality, where is the independence of judiciary? When the center comes into play and says who should be a member of this tribunal, then judiciary is not independent. So judiciary has questioned this on the ground of fairness, reasonableness, independence and impartiality, right? So the bill had said that there will be 4-year term for the members, whereas the Supreme Court says have a 5-year term, right? There has been a maximum age limit 70 years for the chairperson and 67 for the members, right? Minimum is 50. This is 50 is the point of contention again. 4 years of appointment is the point of contention, right? Now this is what are the important updates about the particular bill. Snapshot 3 is on standardizing the bidding process for government projects. Now, government has been utilizing the GEM portal, GEM, Government E-Marketplace, for procurement of government items. For example, if central government requires 100 chairs, state government requires 200 chairs. So all these chairs will be procured through online means, so that there is a transparency, so that there is less corruption, so that there is more objectivity in the contracts. Also, negotiations will work well if we order more items at one place, right? Also, there will be certainty in the people who are bidding, right? They are not frauds. So these are the important things because of which GEM portal has been used. So procuring items, but this time government says that they will also use it for the government projects. For example, if the municipal project has to be awarded, it should be awarded through this portal itself, right? Why offer it through newspaper ads, right? That will increase subjectivity, that will increase corruption. So through e-marketplace, if government has contracts, right? Government also has e-bidding process, reverse e-auction processes. So through this, for example, what is reverse e-auction, right? Reverse e-auction is the one in which auction happens. One buyer is there, right? And there are many sellers. In auction process, in the normal auction process, if there is an article, this has to be sold. Suppose if I have my shirt, I want to auction it, and it is very, very, it has got a lot of price. So the Ambani will come and say, I will pay 1 lakh for it. Adani will come and say, no, 1.2 lakhs. So this is the auction process. One seller and many buyers. When one seller and many buyers, and the rate will go high accordingly. But here, this is reverse auction. The user, the buyer is one. Government has to buy the service, and sellers are many. So who are the sellers? The contractors. So one contractor will say, I will create this canal for you for 1 crore rupees. The other contractor will say, no, I will create it for 80 lakh rupees, 80 lakh only. And this process will happen online. This bidding process will happen online through reverse e-auction. So this is a very good portal for the same, right? It is also there for maintenance of contracts between the parties, right? So that less litigations are there for the government. So please use in answers government e-market portal for the allocation of government projects also. So this is a very clean, transparent procedure, and this is where governance reforms also are very important, right? Now government will initiate RFP, so request for proposal. That means government will send out a document saying that this is a project, we have declared a project, please offer what are your bids. And this is how the whole process will be standardized through online means, right? Now it will also have milestone based payments. So the contractors will not ask for payments in advance. There will be milestones. If you have completed half the project, you will get certain amount of payment. If you have completed later half of the project, you will get certain amount of the payment. Similarly, e-measurement for the progress of the project also. So this is how this reform in government bidding process for projects are also initiated. A very, very good reform. This is the image of the day. You see thousands of people at the Hamid Karzai airport in Afghanistan, and these people are trying to get into this Air Force plane of the United States of America. They have tried to rescue themselves and run away from the capital Kabul, considering the amount of atrocities that they can face from Taliban. And this is a gruesome image because later in the video, a lot of people who were trying to hold on to the aeroplane's tires, etc., they fell off. They fell off from 100 and 150, 200 meters as the airplane took off. Also, there have been times when people have tried to escape through these mechanisms, right? Now, this is the landing gear. The tires are called as the landing gears. And when the landing gears, they get inside the aeroplane, as the aeroplane uplifts, there is no space. So people get crushed. So there was no way they could survive. Also, these aeroplanes go to the height of say 8 to 10 to 12 kilometers, right? So around 35 to 40,000 feet. And that is where the pressure reduces a lot. So there is no chance of survival of humans at that height at the speed of 500, 600, 700 kilometers per hour. Right, in case this is a jet engine, right? So this is the situation at Hamid Karzai Airport. We will cover this report in details, and that is why we are waiting for holistic perspective on this particular news, so that we may cover a featured news for you. And of course, we will have updates, snapshot updates and terms and concepts from Afghanistan. But a featured news on this can be made only after we get holistic perspective, right? We must not act in haste and be the first one to produce the news. We must produce a good news for you so that you understand the situation in Afghanistan in totality. So moving ahead. Terms and concept. The first term and concept is the Samvad initiative. Now this is an initiative run by the government, Ministry of Women and Child Development. The main idea is to support the children in their mental health, right? Mental health. And this is where this initiative helps train the people who train these children for mental health. So NIMHANS is the organization which is responsible primarily for it. NIMHANS and now Panchayati Raj Ministry. Why? Because through Panchayati Raj Ministry, the government is trying to introduce this scheme in the aspirational districts, right? Those districts which are lagging and which needs to grow. So for children health, the full form of this Samvad initiative is support, advocacy and mental health interventions for children in vulnerable circumstances and distress, right? So this is the initiative. This is the second phase of the initiative, right? In the first phase, around 1 lakh people were trained, right? So this is where the government realized that it needs to train the people to be able to support the children, right? This is it. The second term for day is Navroz, the Parsi New Year. Nav means new, Rose means day. Now Parsi sizable population of India exists in India, a very decent population in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and that is why we also celebrate it. In fact, in India it is celebrated twice because the people in India, they follow 2 calendars. One is the Parsi calendar and the other one is Shahanshahi calendar, which does not have leap year. So in the 3,000 years which have flown by till now, right? So since there has been no leap year in this calendar, that is why this particular date has shifted. So we have been celebrating it twice. Okay, double the occasions for India. Very good. Now this day was the day which was supposed to be the day when there was a destruction going to happen, and the Persian king known as Jamshed. So this Persian king saved the world from this disaster. After that, he ascended with his throne, which was littered with a lot of gems. And when he went to the heaven, right, he shone brighter than the sun. And this is the reason Navroz, because it was brighter than the sun, it was a new brightness spread, and that is why Navroz, right? So this is the important update. Before we move ahead, we must note that Navroz is one of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Navroz is on the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity of India, right? And this is where this list becomes very important, right? Now, UNESCO presents an intangible cultural heritage list also, which has got 2 important segments. One is the heritage, containing heritage, and the second one is that kind of heritage which needs urgent safeguarding, right? So this kind of intangible heritage needs urgent safeguarding. What kind of heritage are included in this? For example, if we have certain type of culture, right, certain singing abilities, certain yoga practices, certain important festivals, so intangible, they are not objects, they are the creation of mind, right? So creativities, so those which are in need of urgent attention are placed in one list, and the other ones, all of them are placed in another list, right? Also, there is a register for good practices, good safeguard practices, also maintained by UNESCO, right? So these are the important updates. In India, Sangeet Natak Academy is the nodal office for ensuring this list is maintained. So India proposes important heritage, the cultural heritage, and then UNESCO later might accept it and might not accept it. And should we not know what are in the list from India side? We should know. Why? Because if we know the World Heritage Sites in India, we should know the cultural intangible heritage also, right? So quickly, let us go through the heritage, the intangible heritage of India. The 13 of them, the first one being Vedic chanting, then Ram Leela. Now see, if I speak it out, if you speak it out, it will be there in your mind. And in case pre-exam such question comes, you will be able to quickly solve it. In fact, there have been questions. So let us quickly discuss. Vedic chanting, Ram Leela, Kuttiyam, right? Sanskrit theatre, and then we have the Ramam, the festival from Garhwal Himalayas. After that, Mudiyettu, dance from Kerala, Kalbelia, this is from Rajasthan, the tribe folk dance, Chhau dance. Then we have Buddhist chantings of Ladakh. Then we have Sankirnata of Manipur, and then we have this brass, copper and brass craft of the Punjab region. After that, yoga, Navroz, this is what we are studying, and the last one is Kumbh Mela. So remember, these 13 articles are the intangible heritage from India. Important update. Greater Adjutant stock, the third term in news. It is a very important bird because it is in a very pitiful state in the country. Now, there are three important places where it is found: Bihar, Assam, and Cambodia. Another country itself, right? The global population is hardly 1500, right? But best part is that the population has increased around 10 times in Bihar. It is also known as Garuda in Bihar. It is also known as Hargila, bone swallower, which means bone swallower in Assam. Now, important benefits of this bird are that it eats rats, so pests. It controls pests in the region, and also it eats on the decaying animal carcass. That means it is just like vulture, detritivore, and therefore it cleans the environment and ecosystem. However, this bird is not considered auspicious. Why? Firstly, because people think it does not look good. To me, it looks cute, but people say it is a little dirty. One more reason for it is that it eats rotten fish, dead fish, and it feeds its offsprings also through these kind of dead fishes. So whenever it takes these to its offspring, to its children to eat, if there are people around, they consider this ominous, the dead organism being eaten in front of them, and that is why this bird is unwelcome. So this is why, just like everything needs a rebranding, our whole Gazette page has gotten rebranding. This bird needs rebranding so that the population gets increased from this 1500, only 1500 population around the world. And this bird is an important part of the ecosystem because it cleans the environment, and yet the social change is required. So this is a good case study for you, right? Now, the Karwa Diara, this is a popular breeding center in India after Cambodia and after the breeding centers in Assam. So please remember this place. This is a good case study. This bird is endangered. This particular species of the bird is endangered. Greater Adjutant stork. Do remember, if a question is asked next year, next to next year, state PCS, anywhere, you got to attempt this and make it right. The fourth term in use is India's new category of e-visa. Now, India has got three policies, three types of visas. One is the e-visa, the second one is the sticker visa, and the third one is visa on arrival, right? Now, e-visa is the one in which people apply from their home country and they apply online, right? They put their basic data, where they're going to travel, their whole itinerary, and the government of India then later scans their identity through a list, through a central database, so that they should not have committed a murder, so that they are not abscondees, so they are not economic offenders throughout the world, right? So this list is also passed on through Interpol, international police. So e-visa, and when they come to India, their stamp is stamped, their passport is stamped, right? This kind of stamp is given and e-visa is issued, right? This is one. The second category of visa is the sticker visa. We have to go to the embassy. Suppose if an Afghan national is wanting to travel to India, they have to go to the embassy, Indian embassy in Afghanistan, in Kabul, and there a sticker will be put on the visa. So this is a bigger scrutiny process. The third category, in which visa on arrival is issued, it is issued only to two countries, South Korea and Japan as of now. Why? Because these countries are the countries which are very credible in terms of their passport, right? Now, why? Because there are very less number of crimes committed in these countries internationally. Also, because India's allies. So these are important reasons. Only these two countries have been placed on visa on arrival. So people from these countries, if they're traveling from anywhere around the world, they need not inform Indian authorities, right? In case of e-visa, they have to inform via online means. In case of the regular sticker visa, they have to be applying the visa and they have to have the visa in the passport. So update here is that there are 5 kind of e-visas. There are 5 kind of e-visas, and India has introduced the 6th kind of e-visa right now, which is called as e-emergency ex-miscellaneous visa, right? Earlier, Afghanistan nationals were given only sticker visa because Afghanistan is a place of crime, right? A lot of terrorism activities happen, and therefore only sticker visas with greatest scrutinies were issued here. But later, India has started to give emergency e-visa because this is a faster process, the online mechanism. And earlier, the five kind of e-visas were tourist visa, e-tourist visa, e-business visa, e-medical visa, e-medical attendant visa, the person attending to the medical person, and e-conference visa. So this sixth type of visa for emergency use has been given and also given to Afghanistan because Afghanistan is an important ally to India and people are trying to save their lives. So this is the update. The first editorial of today is on how India must watch the situation in Afghanistan. A very important editorial for you to develop a beautiful perspective. Right? So let us quickly discuss the editorial here. Now, the editorial says that the collapse of government in Afghanistan, the democratic government in Afghanistan is very important for Pakistan. It is a triumphant return of Taliban and Pakistan's strategy on Afghanistan. Why? Because there have been hardly any bloodshed while Taliban took over, and finally Taliban took over. Why? Because Pakistan ensures Taliban to be its proxy in Afghanistan. It always wanted Taliban to be in power in Afghanistan. And this is where the article written by C. Raja Mohan, an important person writing articles on international affairs, so he says that Panikar's thesis, this is why it becomes important. Why? Because Kabul Valley, the place in Afghanistan, it is one important place which affects the whole geopolitics in the subcontinent. Why? Because right from the ancient and medieval times, this has been the place where the invaders have gathered, and if these people have been friends, India has been peaceful. If there have been some enmity or some place where invasion has happened, it has happened from this area, right? Therefore, the kingdoms in this region are very important. Which are the kingdoms here in the modern times? Yes, we have Pakistan. Since Pakistan is not very friendly, we need to have Afghanistan on our side. But with the takeover of Afghanistan by Taliban, this becomes difficult. So this is where the article gets into a quick history. I will also share a quick history of Afghanistan. So until 1970s, Afghanistan had empires, right? So there was king, and the king, of course, was not very efficient. And because of that, people were not happy. They wanted jobs, employment, and social development, etc. And therefore, there was a rebel from the people. This rebel was also associated with the Soviet influence, because the PDPA, People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, which was also held by Soviet, this was the one which got power in 1979, right? So Soviet occupation. Now you must remember, these are the times of Cold War, when Soviet and USA are fighting over their ideologies. Soviet over the ideology of communism and socialism, and then we have USA with capitalism. And this is where the traditional elite, who are the traditional elite? So the warlords of Afghanistan, the people from the kingdom of Afghanistan. So these people were assisted by USA. These people were assisted by Pakistan, and there was an army created, right? Mujahideen army was created, and they fought against the PDPA. So earlier there was a massacre against the traditional elite, and then these started fighting, right? So 1979 to around 1990s, this war went on, and later on Russia had to remove its influence and go away. Also because Russia broke away into factions. USSR broke into factions, Russia and other states, right? So this is what happened in the 1990s. So 1992 and 96. So this was the period in which there was no power, no one was responsible, accountable in Afghanistan, and there were a lot of civil wars in Afghanistan. 1996, Taliban took over. 1996, Taliban took over. This political group took over, and it also initiated an Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is the terrorist faction which is responsible for a lot of proxy wars in a lot of countries. And 2001, when there was an attack on America tried to reduce the terrorism by introducing a war on terror throughout the world, and Afghanistan was the first victim, and therefore it removed Al-Qaeda from there. It also removed Taliban from power, 2001, and after that democracy came into being in Afghanistan. So 2001, democracy, right? This is the history of Afghanistan, and since 2001 we have always known what is happening. Civil wars in Afghanistan, so Taliban trying to take over. Taliban was always in control of 40, 50% and 60% of the territory of Afghanistan. Only Kabul, an important province, is some part of Kandahar, some part of Mazar-e-Sharif, Herat province, etc. Some of them were covered by the USA forces, but USA gained a lot of casualties in the war and wanted to quit. So therefore, USA was wary, but Pakistan was one nation which was favoring Taliban all the time, and it always wanted to assist the Taliban resurgence in Afghanistan, and therefore every time it would nudge USA and say that let us settle with Taliban, right? So there were a lot of negotiations which happened with Turkey in between, with Russia in between, with Troika, with Qatar, right? So Pakistan was an important participant, and it wanted that the America should settle with Taliban, right? But there were no concrete decisions. For example, what will be the position of women? What will be the position of education, foreign policies? There were issues in that, and therefore, finally, Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, and we see that Pakistan is happy with the whole proceeding, right? Now, the most important thing is to note here, how should India act, right? So we have had the quick history of this. How should India act in this situation? First of all, Taliban will have a tough time balancing the power, right? Because it has got religious ideologies, but it has got important functions of the state also. So religious ideologies will come in conflict with state. This is point number one. The second is autonomy of Taliban. Taliban, someday or the other, it will oppose Pakistan's policies because it will want to progress as a nation, right? It will want Afghanistan to be independent of Pakistan's policies. So this is important thing, second one. And the third one is, as there is a deepening tie between China and Pakistan. China is an important country because China also persecutes Muslims, right? Also, it has got communist ideology, which Taliban is opposed to. So you can also see, as there are deeper Pakistan and China ties, Taliban will oppose that. So India must be patient. India should be careful. India must watch carefully with an open mind, with a mind to be able to support Taliban in case the need be, with democracy, right? And India's participation must be active. So this is the quick recap of what happened in Afghanistan, what was the history of Afghanistan, and how India must act, right? The most important thing is Panikar's thesis. So do remember this. So this is the first editorial. The second editorial is from the IPCC report. The editorial says that this report has presented nothing new, just that it has clarified what was less clear right now, right? So the physical science basis, this assessment report 6, it is higher in precision, it gives regional data, and it says that it is unmistakably human error which has caused this kind of climate change, right? So this document will form an important point of discussion at UNFCCC COP26 at Glasgow in this November, right? So this is important. This is what the article says. The article also says that equilibrium climate sensitivity, an important keyword. This is very important because now it has raised itself. The long-term surface temperature of the earth, it says, will be higher than it was earlier predicted, right? Along with that, there will be increase in the climate extremities. We have always spoken of this. The article mainly points at saying that there must be equity in managing climate change because the developed countries have already polluted the earth to a great extent. So therefore, the developed countries must share the onus, right? Because of historical responsibility. So these are the important keywords: equity, historical responsibility, climate finance, and technology transfer. So these are the four mechanisms through which this climate change can be handled. The third editorial for today is on central bank digital currency. Now, this editorial talks about the benefits of a digital currency for a country, what it is and what it is not. So let us quickly discuss this. We have also discussed the central bank digital currency in context of the cryptocurrencies and whether there will be advantages or not in one editorial just 3 days back, right? The editorial says that 2021 has seen a huge rush in crypto business, mainly because of lockdown and the internet penetration. So people have started to get into this crypto business and gained a lot of rigor, especially Waziraks. So 12 times increase in the business in this trading platform, right? The article says that there can be comparison with physical cash, privacy, storage, and transfer issues. Can this kind of central bank digital currency, can it be stored in privacy? Can it be transferred in privacy? What is the comparison with physical cash, right? So suppose the article says we call it Indie coin. So suppose Indie coin is the government's digital currency, right? First of all, it will be pegged. So it will only rise slowly, right? This is one important thing. It will be pegged to rupee and it will be available for transaction for selling and buying, right? So this will be available in the market 24/7. Why? Because there are times when hard cash is not available, right? ATMs are empty. So there were times when there was disaster, lockdown, right? Those times cash was not there, but this will always be there. This is the first thing it says. So it is this 24/7 availability. The second thing it says that it will reduce the service delivery cost. Why? Because transfer of physical money from one place to another, this is a more efficient, right? It will also make the illegal investments, etc., more accountable, right? Because it is very much possible that the architecture in which this is made, this is legal architecture. The bank might not design architectures for privacy, Might not. It might. So illegal and investments, these kind of investments are questionable if they will be in privacy or not. This is what the article says. The article says about anonymity as well. It is right now under question. Now, none of the governments have forced central bank digital currency in a huge level, but China most probably will be introducing the mass adoption of this digital currency by the year 2022. And therefore the article concludes by saying that cryptocurrency, along with central bank digital currency, along with the physical and digital currency, they are the future. So what is the physical currency? Physical currency is the rupee that we have in our pockets, right? What is the digital currency? Digital currency is the beam, right? Beam version of it, right? The online version of it, right? Then what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, Dogecoin, right, Ethereum, etc. And what is central bank digital currency? This is the currency that we are talking of right now. So CBDC is the currency which will be pegged to rupee. It will grow slowly. It will be stable, right? So the cryptocurrency will offer privacy, but CBDC might not. This is the article. Case study for today is from El Salvador. This is the country which declared itself as malaria free in the year 2020. Why? Because 2017 onwards, this country has not seen a single case of indigenous malaria case, right? So this is the important requirement for a country to be malaria free. Now, today, is India malaria free? No, it is not, because we see a lot of malaria cases in India. So India has targeted to be malaria free by the year 2030, right? Now, what is the case study of this country? The important thing to note is that it started its fight against malaria in 1940s, when there was a physical attack against the mosquito. So mosquito is the vector through which this disease spreads. So against mosquito, this was the first one. The second one was having this national malaria program, and in this program they increased the presence of diagnostic laboratories. So they tried to spot the places in which the malaria disease is more recurrent, right? There are places where malaria is endemic. There are places where it is an epidemic. Epidemic is spread at that particular space throughout the whole time, right? So this is how it diagnosed the malaria disease, and it also increased the budget. And now we see in 2017, since 2017 to 2020, there was no indigenous case. There may be cases from abroad brought in, but no indigenous case of malaria transmission, and therefore in 2020 this country was declared as malaria free. Now, United Nations initiative, let me quickly discuss this. E2020 initiative, this was the initiative to have certain countries free of malaria by 2020, right? Later, this initiative got converted into E2025. Why? Because we did have corona crisis in 2020 and 19, right? So therefore, E2025 initiative also came into being. In this, 25 countries have been selected to eliminate malaria by 2025. So this time, 5 years time. Also, India has declared to be malaria free by 2030. So here we come to the conclusion of the Gazette discussion. I'm sure you liked the video that we created. Do shower some love on us through likes, comments, sharing of the video, and through subscribe, because this is how you will receive timely update of the videos. Thanks for watching.